Hello. Well, the counter argument you might say, because using the scientific method, I can always say I put forward this idea, but I'm wrong. Okay, so let's take a counter view from the Middle Eastern philosophies. Any of the three you could choose. They would say, well, of course, Stoicism, of course, is a mystical religion, isn't it? Because not a philosophy, because it requires you to believe in such a thing as a logos, okay, or a current through nature, which is the thing that binds everyone together. I'm not talking in terms of Star Wars and the Force or anything, but um, if you go back to what I said about for every reaction there is a counter reaction, okay, for which there is a consequence. But what I didn't explain fully was a consequence is always a synthesis that is greater than the original two reaction, the original matrix of reactions, because of course no reaction and counter reaction and consequence is all is a sort of there's a confluence of different actors happening, okay, and because of the synthesis is an infinite amount, so therefore people have free will because the synthesis is not yet known to us, okay. We can choose to do right or wrong within that, okay. Now the guide to that, of course, is culture. And what is culture? We speak of culture in terms of artistic ways, or what to do with a specific race or religion or anything like that. Well, culture to me is problem solving. It's entrenched problem solving, and because of that reaction, which is the underlying reaction beyond what just the functionality of EMC squared is, which might seem amazing at first, the first time you see it, but it's actually quite a crude equation, is that, and quite simple, is that the way that we do things, okay, of course affects our success in life, and also uh, our, our preferences for the opposite sex determine whether we have children or not, or how many children, you know, how healthy they'll be, and all the rest of it, okay. And this is constant feedback, and of course they might when you have children, there aspects of your personality might be the same because you might teach them that, or it might be genetic. We don't know, okay, we don't fully know, but they're always greater than their parents, okay. And of course the other phrase is necessity is the mother of invention, of course, okay. We reach out to people for empathy, so the virtues are there, and they're a guide to us in Stoic philosophy, okay. Is Stoic philosophy a philosophy? Well, I would say a philosophy is different from a doctrine or a religion, because philosophy doesn't require power. It doesn't require you to enforce your beliefs on anyone else. Philosophy is in itself self-contained and individualistic, okay. Now, so you might say that there is a hierarchy of things. That politics is has some rationality to it, but it's basically to do with power, okay, temporal power, earthly power, whereas religion is to do with the unknown power, okay, but they use earthly methods to make sure the world turns out in that way. So that is politics. And also the most base thing is just pure power, okay. But it is actually the pure power, which you can say is through most of history, the use of terror basically has been the driving force, okay. I'm going to do a vid called Hierarchy of War, which will explain this further, okay. Now, beyond this, what can we say about whether there's a God or anything like that? Well, I don't believe there's any God in the conception of a human being standing up at creating the universe. Okay, that has not been scientifically proven, and it can't be tested. Okay, because at the moment we haven't got the technology to do so. But religions are always ahead of themselves, you see, because intrinsically we go back to Ann Coulter's conversation where she said, where the interviewer said, you're being anti-Semitic because you said Jews aren't perfect. Okay, it could have been any religion, Christians or Christians believe they're searching for perfection. So some of the Enlightenment values of liberty, equality and democracy have got into Europeanized Christianity, but originally they believed, because they believed in Christ had come back and died for their sins and made Christians perfect, so they believe in perfection. Muslims, fundamentalist Muslims, believe they need to subject the world to their conception of God. So therefore they're far more like an oligarchy, like Leninism. I'm not saying Leninism and functionally they're like Leninism, rather than it being a movement of the oppressed. It's a movement of the elite trying to motivate the oppressed, of course. So that's why the Bin Ladens are an elitist feudalist family, okay. Now, why do you think the religions suffer from both delusions of superiority and self-hatred? Okay, this seems to be a key thing, you know. Ann Coulter, despite what she believes in, like the hierarchy of different classes, was saying that no, I have an equal right to say that. Now, if someone called me anti-Semitic, I would simply, and I was an American, I would simply say, well, my rationality is universal. It's everyone is born equal, okay, and my allegiance is to the United States Constitution. That's clearly it, okay. All religions might put themselves up to idols or books or anything, but they're all made of feet of clay, okay. And Western or European, basically, belief systems. On one person's channel, they said, "Isn't this assumption that Europeans' belief systems are the norms and absolutely in line with what's in the genetic code of people?" Well, Europeans are the ones who've mostly done the research into that, and Europeans have shaped the world tremendously. Europeans, as I said, have a cultural understanding of the world, and of course we're going to shape the world to that cultural way, because that is the best way for us to solve our problems, okay, not for the world but for Europeans, from a European perspective, and that of course includes America, okay. You're not going to create a situation where the problem solving skills of Bantu, like the Africans of the Zulus, whose whole culture is developed to avoid getting malaria. Europeans are going to make their imprint in Africa that way, as you've seen from my South African vids. Check out part 4.